let us switch over to the newest anime episode 969. Nice.
Noise.
And we see the end of the final voyage of Roger, and unfortunately and tragically unknowingly, of Odin as well.
For those who uh, who remember, I keep referring to this admittedly very lengthy flashback as the legend of the goat Kozuki Odin. And this, unfortunately, is where the legend real sour.
Mm,
That
yeah.
happy ending you think you're gonna see, you're not gonna see it. I'm just warning you ahead of time. You're not gonna see it because if you did, then we wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, like seriously, it is like knowing what's about to happen makes it even more bitter because last episode it was such a great ending to things. It's just like, and then he laughed, and it's just like, ah, my God, such a legendary tale, so fantastic. And then you get this, which is just like coming down from a really big high. It's just like, and then things slowly started to fade, and it was tragic and sad.
Yeah, I cannot even blame Odin for the rage he's got to be feeling. I mean, my God, Orochi not only destroyed the man's country, but he's coming after his wife and kids. Nah, dude. Nah, we are past the point of talking. You attacked my family while I was not there to protect them. You now have to die. You now have to die.
And I love that it wasn't like an immediate rage. It was just like as each new piece of information came in, you could just see him just boiling and boiling and boiling and burning up until it was just like, oh, he's at the perfect fury point to just go off on some freaking John Wick shit.
Oh, man. Next week's episode is going to probably start off really satisfying and then probably end really fucking disappointing.
Yeah,
I
and
can just honestly going that way.
and the fact that they're they're doing this thing where it seems like they're just going to be paralleling the unfortunate situations, because they did it in the manga too, where they paralleled the unfortunate situation of Roger walking into the last days of his life with knowing that he was going to be coming to an end, and then ultimately choosing how he came to an end, and paralleling it with Odin and just how much of a tragic situation it was, where it was just like, could he have done something different and things would have turned out better? Yeah, it could have. But at the same time, you can't dwell on the coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's just like it's happening, and nothing in Wano will ever be the same again.
This is getting low. This is the part where One Piece gets low key political because, oof, they start talking about a lot of industries that are simultaneously destroying the environment and corrupting the shit out of the government since
Mm,
they run all of them.
yes. But, I mean, One Piece has always kind of had a twinge of that. I mean, once you get into the whole situation of government official workers abusing their power when it came to as far back as Axe Morgan, you were already kind of portraying a little bit of an agenda.
True. True. You got a point. I mean, I've got the first volume here. They end right around the point where they first meet Nami. So, yeah, yeah, they're putting a bit of an agenda out there. When wow, I never thought of it that way. Oof.
I mean, it's one of those things that sometimes you don't think about because hell, even when it comes to something like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, I love the series and people are talking about it nonstop, but so many people want to focus more on when's the X Men? Where's the X Men? Are they going to give hints to the X Men? And it's just like X Men, X Men. But like at the same time, you have this show that's trying to talk about all these real life situations like racial profiling and experiments in the history of the military that were done on people of color that weren't quite on the up and up, and race, different instances of hardship and questionable practices by governments. And it's just like, oh, you could say, what does any of that have to do with One Piece? And I'd say, have you been reading the same story I have?
I mean, that's that. Yeah, that's very true. It's you know what it is. Sometimes you forget that these themes are pretty relevant, just because these characters are always carrying on with just the most devil may care attitude. Like they're just happy to be alive because they know this kind of stuff is just like baseline, I guess.
Yeah.
So they kind of try and smile despite that, and stomp that shit out wherever they can.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it's one of those situations where I fully feel that uh, One Piece helps you kind of come to your own understanding in these situations, and depending on how you feel about it, it's just like it helps you kind of grow in terms of these social commentaries without being heavy-handed about it. It's just like it's not forcing you to make a decision, but at the same time, it's just like you might kind of have an opinion already that you weren't really aware that you had in the beginning.
More or less.
Yeah. One
Well,
key
that's
key key thing that I
telling
want to
people
talk.
it's low key.
Hmm?
That's why I keep telling people it's low key brilliant.
Yeah, but
Anyway, you were saying?
well, in terms of everything else, getting away from the heavy talk, is that that discussion Odin and Roger and Rayleigh had towards the end, where they talk about the fact that they arrived too early, that somebody else will have to find One Piece. I don't know about you, but the way they said it over the course of that discussion before as Roger was disbanding his pirate crew, it almost kind of sounded like they didn't get to One Piece. Like they weren't able to in some fashion.
Hmm.
Like I don't know
Hmm.
if it's a situation with the translations or something, but you know, it almost kind of sounds like what they were trying to get to, they never truly got to it.
Hmm. Well, what got me was the fact that apparently Joy Boy was going to be born 20 years, or rather, he would find the One Piece 20 years from the time Roger and his crew did. So that just has me wondering: is Luffy Joy Boy?
there's been a lot of allusions to Luffy being Joy Boy, but that's the funny thing. It's just like now that we're getting all this stuff about it's just like, oh, it's Laugh Tale and it's Joy Boy, and it paints this weird picture, because Joy Boy wrote an apology to the Mermaid Princess Poseidon all those years back, and now there's the thought that Joy Boy will be born and come to this island, and it's just like, what exactly is Joy Boy? Is it a title? And if it is, then why would it be a title that's passed on?
I suppose, like everything else, we'll have to wait and see because, well, Oda has kept all of it intentionally fucking vague.
Honestly, that's really been the best way to go with a lot of this stuff. Keep it vague enough that there's room for interpretation, but at the same time, vague enough that you don't completely end up contradicting yourself as well.
Yeah, which thankfully he's very good about.
Yes. But that's my biggest takeaway from the episode. Aside from that, is oh, and Shiki. We saw Shiki. That's another thing that kind of caught me off guard because once Roger's name had gotten out there, and I love the call back to the wealth, fame, power. Gold Roger obtained this and everything else the world had to offer. Like I love that being a line in the newspaper article. That took me off guard. But during that moment where it's just like they're reveling in their Roger's reputation. You see all these people going after Roger, and one of them was Shiki, and I'm just like, yeah, it would be like not too. Shiki would still be after there after the whole Battle of Ed Ward and stuff like that.
Uh, yeah, yeah. It was actually really nice seeing Shiki's just like, oh shit, hey, look, there's that guy that we can't say his meeting with Luffy was canon.
Mm. Honestly, it's been very interesting how much the anime has been pushing Shiki. Like, do you think they're leading up to something with that? Like, maybe they're going to do some kind of filler with Shiki, or is it possible something else is going to happen? Because all the stuff we've seen with Shiki in terms of Wano has been, very anime centric.
I honestly want to assume that we may get a prequel series,
Hmm.
star, starring Roger, going on about his exploits and things of that nature. Or at the very least, we might get like a one-off or something. It doesn't have to go like very far. I'm just speculating here.
Hmm.
Realistically, I think it would be cool to see like what happens like back in the good old days, so to speak.
When
But
piracy was even more lawless than it is now.
yeah, but it is pretty great to see Shiki just to remind all the old fans that yeah, we're still here, and we remember a lot of the stuff we set up in our lore sessions.
But aside from that, anything else to say about this episode?
Nah, uh, everyone get ready to feel some real bad heartbreak for the next few episodes because
Mm,
it's gonna get sad and then it's gonna get sadder, and then just when you think it can't get any sadder, it's gonna just get so much sadder. Just be ready for it. That's all I can say.
It's just like you wanted to know what the stages of grief were. Just watch these episodes, and you'll fully understand by the end of it.